So 3 months ago, I took this throwback song and turned it into a rocktronics D&B track. Well, sort of. I only made half of it and put it out to kind of gauge whether people liked it or not. And surely enough, they did. Now I know what you're thinking, 2K views is nothing, but hey, for a small channel like me, it was a pretty big deal, so sue me. Issue was, I got super bogged down with my 9-to-5 job, so I kind of tabled it and planned on just circling back later at some point when I had more time freed up. You spend too much time working in corporate America when you start using the brain rot terms. Anyways, a few weeks ago I decided that it was time to revisit the project, and alas, I have a finished product. It's not perfect by any means, but I'm glad I finally finished something. I don't like to gatekeep. I'm gonna give y'all the full scoop on how I produced this, show you how I made this track, what I added, what's different from the first iteration, and hopefully this will inspire you to produce bootlegs, and hopefully you learn something, and hopefully I'll learn something from y'all. Would love to get some feedback on how I can improve as a producer and take this into my next project. Alright, that's enough yapping. Let's jump into it.
Alright, so I pulled up the project stems. What I'm going to do here is I'm just going to play the full track, and then I'll walk you through on what I did differently since the first iteration. Let's just jump into it.
Hot dive into frozen waves where the past comes back to life. Fight fear for the selfish pain, it was worth it every time. Hold still right before we crash, cause we both know how this ends. A clock ticks till it breaks your glass, and I drown in you again. Cause you are the piece of me I wish I didn't need. Chasing relentlessly, still fighting, I don't know why. If I love this tragedy, why are you my remedy? If I love insanity, why are you my clarity? Walk on through a red parade and refuse to make amends. It cuts deep through our ground and makes us forget all common sense. Don't speak as I try to leave, cause we both know what we choose. If you pull and I push too deep, and I'll fall right back to you. Cause you are the piece of me I wish I didn't need. Chasing relentlessly, still fighting, I don't know why. If I love is tragedy, why are you my remedy? If I love insanity, why are you my clarity? You my clarity.
Damn, so emotional. Anyways, yeah, that's pretty much the whole thing. I'll just walk you through it. I think first thing I'll walk through are some of the different changes since the first iteration. If you want to hear what it sounded like before, I'll just put a link right above this video so you can click on it, and as well as in the description. But truthfully, I felt like the first iteration didn't sound as full. I mean, one, it was only half of it, right? It was only a concept, a small demo. There wasn't a full track. But what I did make didn't feel, yeah, like I said, as full. And I think just some of the sound selection in general was just not as good. So some of the new things I added, I think it starts right in the first verse, was this orchestra. I think before I kind of used Logic's stock orchestra instrument, but here I actually got a new plugin. Actually, I can show you this. Oh no. This is essentially a bounced version of all of these different instruments, which is from this BBC Symphony plugin, which is great. It feels a lot more realistic than Logic's orchestra track, because now you can kind of play around with each individual instrument within the orchestra, and it kind of pans it for you. In addition, it gives you like this call it expression and dynamics fading tools, so you can make it sound a lot more realistic as it's playing. So I kind of took those chord notes and kind of put it on the orchestral instruments, and then played around with the expression and dynamics, and then bounced it all together. So it sounds like this. I don't know about you, but that sounds a lot more realistic. Sounds like a actual real orchestra. So that's one major change. The second major change are the new guitars that I'm using. Before, I think I'm just using like the Concat guitars, which I think I still am, but I added these two new bass guitars. Gives it more of like that punk rock vibe. I have those panning slightly left and right, as well as this new electric guitar I have just kind of filtered out, but I can start right here. Yeah, again, kind of gives that punk rock vibe. I already had an electric guitar before, but I felt like it didn't really fill out the track as much as I liked. So I have, so similarly, I have both of these kind of panning left and right. I don't know, I guess when I first started making this remix, I thought it would be cool to take like this throwback EDM song and kind of turn it almost like, not emo, but sort of like that 2000s rock emo type vibe. It makes it even more nostalgic than it already is. And then obviously throwing that DNB dance music elements to it. So that was the goal, trying to add as much of these rocky kind of flavors to it. I think the other thing that I changed in the drop, super subtle, but kind of the whole point of the drop here, not the whole point, but I have in the drop like this kind of break or fill in the middle. I felt like in the first iteration I didn't do a good enough job with kind of like removing all the sound and creating like sort of like a swelling effect to get back into the drop. So what I did was I kind of took, I think it was here, the vocal ambience I created, and it made this like swelling effect. This, yeah, exactly, this glitchy swelling effect. So kind of like, you know, blast a sound and then vroom, and then vroop. I don't know if that made any fucking sense, but I think you get the idea. And then there's like other things, like I'm probably forgetting, like changing some of the drums, particularly. I think the rock drums are slightly different. I did not like it before. I felt like it was just not a good fit for the track, so I'm pretty sure I changed to rock drums. But yeah, you can probably hear in the first iteration the difference there. Oh yeah, forgot to mention other elements that I added to the drop were, I believe, another chord stack. So this really fills out the high end. Also added some white noise too. I think before I only had like 3-ish layers, so it didn't feel full enough to me. And then I did the same thing with these leads. Before, I think it was just these two, maybe. Sorry. It was just these two. No, just kidding. Just these two. But I felt like it was a little lonely, so I added this support. As well as before, it was just this other lead, but added another one. This was sort of supposed to mimic that chanting in the original track in the drop, so felt like it was a little lonely. It needed some more oomph to it, so there we go. Yeah, so first iteration, like I said, goes from the intro to the first drop. So I finished the track by making those changes and going from the second verse to the end. Now let's look at the second verse. Yeah, right here as a transition to get into the second verse. I wanted to do something a little bit different, so it doesn't just jump in immediately, but I essentially just took the first verse elements and just filtered the hell out of it, put some reverse guitars and pianos, and put a trance gate effect going into it, so it sounds like super spacey, and then it kind of brings it all back together. Yeah, and then the second verse a little bit more upbeat than the first. Pretty much took the electric guitars from here and using it to drive the second verse, as well as the rock drums. That's when the electric guitars come in. So yeah, it does that, and then that's when it kind of goes into this break, and this is where I completely switch it up, and it goes back to that cinematic vibe from the first verse. You know, does the heavy rock shit, and then boom, opens up. It's like a very spacey kind of effect. Kind of just removed all the instruments and just left in some of the ambiences and added a new one. Added this new piano ambience right here. Oops. I bought the Nor piano from Concat, super nice, and just took that. I think I used one of their presets and then added a bunch of like reverb and some like other textural effects to it. But yeah, sounds really nice.
Wish I didn't need chasing relentlessly, still fighting. I don't know why. If our love is tragedy.
Yep, and then I added the system overload effect, and it just stops the song. I think it sounds really, really beautiful. But yeah, on top of, you know, adding back the strings and everything, I also added these orchestral drums. So this is where I'm kind of taking in that kind of future bass elements.
If our love is tragedy, why are you my remedy? If our love's insanity, why are you my clarity?
Yeah, goal here is to make all the ABGs start crying. Hopefully mission accomplished. So you're probably wondering what the hell that fucking yapping is in the background. I felt like, so this is the build up, and I felt like this was pretty empty when I first made it. It didn't have these vocals. It was just like this. And I wanted it to be kind of a longer build up, but it felt a little too empty. So I was thinking, you know, it could probably use some sort of vocal here, but I didn't know what clarity vocal to use. So I actually ended up just taking the recording part in the song Everlong by Foo Fighters, the part where David Grohl, whatever the fuck his name is, it's kind of just, I think, talking, or just, I think it's literally like reading a poem, but yeah, so that's pretty much what it is. I wish I got like a much more cleaner vocal, but as a broke music producer, you gotta do what you gotta do. Just the YouTube to MP3 can only go so far. But yeah, I kind of used that to kind of fill out that space. I thought it sounded kind of nice. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but it's kind of a little nice throwback call to Everlong. Filtering all the instruments. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. Like I said, it's not a perfect track by any means. I could definitely tweak it a bunch of more times, but I figured at some point you just got to get it to like 80% and just send it out, or otherwise I'm just gonna be stuck on this track forever. But yeah, track is out on SoundCloud. The download link's also below in the description. Completely free. If you like the track, you know, all I ask is that you just follow my SoundCloud account and my other social channels. Super small ask, but it goes a long way in helping me grow. Oh yeah, and one last thing. I'll probably be making these videos in this sort of format from here on out for a good bit. You know, before I used to kind of produce on screen and show you guys, but frankly, this just takes too much time for me to edit and film. I'm just blessed to be working a 60-hour desk job that gives me no time to make this full time for now. But anyways, yeah, please give me some feedback on this. This really helps me grow as a producer. And if you want to see anything specifically about this track, please just leave it in a comment and I can make a video on it. But yeah, hope you learned something just like I did making this, and I'll see you next time. Peace.